Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Baseball Central for Game 20 of the U18 Baseball World Cup, February 2017, between Australia and Chinese Taipei. Bon matin, mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à Baseball Central. Le match back, la Coupe du monde de baseball U18 February 2017, opposant l'Australie à Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, you know what, just all of a sudden? Yeah. It came in, right? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And now, players' presentation, la présentation des joueurs. Starting with the national team of Australia. The manager, le gérant, Steve Fish. Batting first, shortstop, number 9. Le premier frappeur, joueur des cours, le numéro 9, Jess Williams. Batting second, left fielder, number 10. Le deuxième frappeur, le voltigeur de gauche, le numéro 6, Nick Anderson Fine. Batting third, catcher, number 33. Le troisième frappeur, le receveur, le numéro 33, Alex Hall. Batting fourth, third baseman, number 23. Le quatrième frappeur, le joueur de troisième but, le numéro 23, Jared Dale. Batting fifth, first baseman, number 28. Le cinquième frappeur, le joueur de premier but, le numéro 28, Ryan Wingrove. Batting sixth, designated hitter number 5. Le sixième frappeur, le frappeur désigné, le numéro 5, Mitch Edwards. Batting seventh, right fielder number 8. Le septième frappeur, le voltigeur de droite, le numéro 8, Jake Amos. Batting eighth, second baseman number 15. Le huitième frappeur, le joueur de deuxième but, le numéro 15, Dermot French. Batting ninth, center fielder number 32. Le neuvième frappeur, le voltigeur de centre, le numéro 32, Josh Bedgood. And starting pitcher, number 26, le lanceur partant, le numéro 26, Kai Hampton. And the rest of the team. And now for the national team of Chinese Taipei, pour le Taipei chinois, the manager, le gérant, Zhou Chung-Shu. Batting first, third baseman number 35, le premier frappeur, le joueur de troisième but, le numéro 35, Wang Eun-hee. Batting second, second baseman number 4, le deuxième frappeur, le joueur de deuxième but, le numéro 4, Cheng Han-hu. Batting third, center fielder number 1. Le troisième frappeur, le voltigeur de centre, le numéro 1, Kuo Tien Shin. Batting fourth, right fielder number 29. Le quatrième frappeur, le voltigeur de droite, le numéro 29, Cho Shi-hung. Batting fifth, first baseman number 31. Le cinquième frappeur, le joueur de premier but, le numéro 31, Li Yu-xuan. Batting sixth, designated hitter number 16, le numéro 6. Le frappeur désigné, le numéro 16, Taipei Lin. Batting seventh, shortstop, number 11. Le septième frappeur, le joueur d'arrêt court, le numéro 11, Liu Che-chong. Batting eighth, catcher number 30. Le huitième frappeur, le receveur, le numéro 30, Xu Wei-shi. Batting ninth, left fielder number 7. Le neuvième frappeur, le voltigeur de gauche, le numéro 7, Xu Michael. And starting pitcher number 42, le lanceur partant, le numéro 42, Gulin Rayan. And the rest of the team. And now, please welcome the umpires for the game, Hee-young Park, Tomo Yamaguchi, Frank Bell, and Darren Scott. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please now rise, remove hats and caps for both national anthems. Veuillez maintenant vous lever, retirer chapeaux et casquettes pour les deux hymnes nationaux, starting with Australia. And Chinese Taipei. Merci, thank you. Sur ce, mesdames et messieurs, bon match. Let's play ball.
good morning, and a very warm welcome to Baseball Central, the second of our two facilities for game number 20 of the WBSC U18 Baseball World Cup here in 2017. Thunder Bay, Canada is the site for this pivotal Group A matchup between a pair of 2-1 teams, the visitors today from Australia and the home team, Chinese Taipei. This is a big one in this group. Korea has already punched its ticket onto the Super Round, more than likely, with a 3-0 start to this U18 World Cup in 2017. The winner of this one will be 3-1 and in the driver's seat to join them there. Weather today, some overcast skies, but thankfully it is dry. The sun was out earlier and should reappear here shortly. As you can see, 14 degrees centigrade with some breezy conditions over on the third base side, where that flag flutters currently. The WBSC flag joined by the flags above the batting cage of all 12 nations in attendance for this year's U18 Baseball World Cup. And here is the starting lineup for the visitors in the world's number 8 Australia. Leading things off, Jess Williams, he is the shortstop. Nick Anderson-Vine is in left field. Alex Hall, the catcher, is behind the plate and batting third. Jared Dale, the third baseman, is in the cleanup spot. Rixon Wingrove is a big bat, a home run earlier in the tournament. Mitchell Edwards, Jacob Amos, Dermot Frisch, and Josh Bedgood will round things out for Australia. A team looking to find its way into the Super Round. Defensive alignment for Chinese Taipei. In left field today, Maiko Chu gets the start over there. Tianchen Kuo is in center. Chi Heng Chu is in right. Third to first on the infield. Hung Yi Wong at third base. Chi Jung Lu is at short. Han Yu Tseng is at second. Yushuan Li is at first. And Wei Chi Su is behind the plate. Peilin Tai over there at third. He is the designated hitter today. Umpiring crew, a 4-man group today. Our first game with the South African umpire, Frank Bell, who is at second base. That's Hee-Young Park, who is behind the plate from South Korea. Tomohisa Yamaguchi is at first base from Japan, and Darren Scott is at third. First of 3 games here at Baseball Central today. Coming up in the afternoon contest, we'll be with you for South Africa and the United States. The U.S. with a victory yesterday over Mexico, rain shortened 6-0 in 6 innings. They're onto the Super Round as well. We are just about set to get things rolling as you get a look at the starting pitcher for Chinese Taipei today. That is Ri-Young Lin, who will get the nod on the hill so far in this tournament. Just 1 inning of work out of the bullpen. Did not go well, as you can see. But Ri-Yang will try to shut down an Australian lineup that has been pretty impressive through its first few games. Australia in the opener struggled a 4-1 loss to Korea, but game number 2, 15-1. The Aussies routed Italy, and yesterday coming through with an 11-6 victory over Nicaragua that Australia pretty well controlled throughout. As the leadoff man, Jess Williams, steps into the batter's box, and we are just about set to go here in game number 20 of this U18 Baseball World Cup. And the first offering, just a little bit low for ball 1, and we are underway. 9:34 a.m. is our start time today. Jess Williams, if you get a look at the mug for Jess Williams, he's got a bruise under his left eye, kind of a black eye, which is nothing new to Jess Williams. At the U15 World Cup a couple of years ago, got a black eye from an errant ball, which is where this one came from. He also had one in Nationals last year. So for the most part, you see a headshot of Jess Williams, he's going to have a black eye of one kind or another. 2 of them in his left eye. This one broke the tie. It was 1-1 left eye and right eye with the black eyes, but this one putting the edge on the left eye side. 2-1 on the way to him. In tight. 3 balls and a strike. Well, Williams, the shortstop, leading things off for this Australia club. This is a unit that has been playing together for a while, qualified back in January for this tournament, ran through an unbeaten run in the Oceania qualifier as this one blasted out to center field, settling under it there. Tianchen Kuo, 1 up, 1 down here in the first inning. This ballpark bigger than what we saw the last few days at Port Arthur. 400 to dead center field here and 330 down the lines. That's about 10 feet farther down the left and right field lines and 20 feet or so farther out to dead center field. Some trees serving as the batter's eye back there. Good amount of foul ground behind the plate and in front of the dugouts on each side as well. As the two-hole hitter, Nick Anderson-Vine, lays a bunt down third base side. Tough playing on this slick grass, which has taken on a good amount of moisture over the last couple of days. Gu Lin is not going to have a play at first. That'll go as a bunt single.
Third, catcher number 33.
And Nick Anderson-Vine, the first base runner for Australia. Well spotted that bunt anyway, but the spike's just giving out as the two-hole hitter, Nick Anderson, this right-handed starter for Chinese Taipei. Young Gu Lin. So Anderson-Vine, the left fielder, aboard, and that'll send it into the heart of the Australian order and Alex Hall. Outfield playing Hall pretty much straight away, a half-hearted wave at that first offering. There on the left side of your screen, you get a look at the big tall guy, former major leaguer Graham Lloyd, and right in front of him, Steve Fish, the manager of this Australia team. Steve, an American, but he's lived in Australia for quite some time, a multiple-time Claxton Shield champion as manager of the Perth Heat in the 6-team Australian Baseball League, as the count evens at 1-1 on Hall. Alex Hall, a Western Australia product, played very well in the Oceania qualifier back in January. Australia romped in a 15-0 win over Guam in that tournament. It was just Australia, Guam, and New Zealand, the three teams that played for the right to compete in this U18 World Cup out of the Oceania region. A couple of RBIs in that win over Guam for Alex Hall. A check over on the runner Anderson-Vine at first base. Scoreboard in right field here at Baseball Central, and the lights are on. The sun was out earlier, but with some cloud cover overhead, we got the lights on now at a really fantastic facility that hosts a lot of baseball in the summer months here in Thunder Bay. Wave and a miss there, and the count is even on the left-handed hitting catcher, Alex Hall. Gu Lin kicks and deals. Hall fights it off, foul. So the Aussies coming into this day today, a loss to Korea in the opener, the only one for Australia, and then back-to-back really good offensive performances, 26 runs over their last 2 games. But this one and the matchup with Canada, those are really the hinge games for Australia. Coming in to stack up the way this team would measure against the other teams in this group. There's a swing and a miss in the first strikeout of the day for the right-hander Gu Lin. Alex Hall is gone. You really kind of figure Australia more than likely would drop its matchup with Korea. That did happen on day 1. It was a close one, 4-1 the final there. And the Aussies figured to be the team that would come out on top against Italy, which it did on day 2, and Nicaragua yesterday. Wins of 15-1 over Italy and 11-6 over Nicaragua. These matchups, Chinese Taipei today and Canada tomorrow, really seemed like they would be the biggest ones for Australia. Come away with a win here, you feel really good about your chances to move on to the Super Round. And same goes for Chinese Taipei, which got some exciting news for its rosters. That pitch is in the dirt and on a delayed steal. Nick Anderson-Vine is headed for second base, and he is gone to end the top half of the first inning. Broke as that ball got into the dirt, and gone 2-6 as Anderson-Vine, and Chinese Taipei will face the minimum here in the top half of the first inning. Another look and a great scoop out at second base by the second baseman, Han Yu-Tseng. Scoreless Australia after a half an inning. We'll go to the bottom of 1 in Thunder Bay.
Australia is proud to support the U18 Baseball World Cup as a partner sponsor. Thank you, Thunder Bay, for being connected to the community.
Back at Baseball Central here in Thunder Bay, headed to the bottom of the first inning in a big-time Group B matchup, or check that, a Group A matchup between these two teams, Australia and Chinese Taipei. Headed to the bottom one after the caught stealing wrapped things up for Australia in the top half of this inning, and Chinese Taipei's leadoff man Hung-Yi Wong will get things started. Showed the bunt, took it back, and he takes strike one in from this young right-hander Kai Hampton. Hampton gets the start, really impressed for Australia in his meeting with Canada. Those two teams played an 8-game exhibition series when the Australians got over to Canada for this U18 Baseball World Cup. And in Hampton's matchup with that Canadian club, 8 shutout innings, and what Australia's manager Steve Fish really liked about him is that he just pounded the strike zone. Whole lot of strikes. Really good command from Kai Hampton in his start against Canada. And from what we've seen over the first few days of this tournament, that's crucial. It's obviously crucial in any baseball context, but we have not seen staffs, with the exception of the United States and to an extent Japan. There's a wave and miss and an early strikeout right on cue for Kai Hampton. Hung-Yi Wong is retired. A lot of pitching staffs are struggling to throw strikes early on in this tournament. We've seen a good amount of walks, and that's led to a lot of long innings, a lot of base runners, and in some of these games, a whole heck of a lot of runs as well. As Hanyu was saying, the 2-hole hitter and second baseman who made a fantastic pickup on that throw down to second base by Wei-Chi Su to nab Australia's Nick Anderson Vine for the final out of the inning. In from the right side. Well, Chinese Taipei got some exciting news as of yesterday. News that broke and actually seemed to sort of slip out from the Chinese Taipei camp. But Chi-Ting Wong, the left-handed starter for Chinese Taipei in yesterday's win over Italy, was signed to a professional contract with the Kansas City Royals. So he'll begin his professional career in the U.S. minor leagues. Kick and the offering on the way from Hampton. Count even now at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Chinese Taipei, of course, a high-level professional league over there as well. The Chinese Professional Baseball League, a 4-team circuit. Is the count full now? And a real fun brand of baseball in Taiwan, the nation that competes as Chinese Taipei on the international stage. A lot of offense in that league. Here's a little flare out to the infield grass just in front of short, and a good barehanded pickup there by Jess Williams, but it's not going to be in time on the throw to get Seng. So it is a 1-out single that traveled all of maybe 100 feet in the air over the head of Kai Hampton. And drops in. What a strange little bloop that was. And a great job by Jess Williams to secure that on the bare hand and fling it over to his first baseman, Rixon Wingrove. Defensively for Australia, it's Nick Anderson-Vine in left field, Josh Bedgood in center, and Jake Amos in right. Third to first on the infield, Jared Dale, a last name that Australian baseball fans certainly very familiar with. Runner bluffs from first. Bunt is down out in front of the plate. Going to be a tough play, and the backstop Alex Hall will not have one. A bunt single, and now it's first and second and one gone for Chinese Taipei. Jared Dale at third base, Jess Williams at short, as you saw. Dermot Frisch is at second, and Rixon Wingrove is over at first. Alex Hall springing out from behind the plate. That's where he gets his start today, but unable to get to that one and get the throw to first in time. So a bunt single for Tianxin Kuo, the center fielder. And very quickly on back-to-back pitches, Chinese Taipei with runners at first and second now. And one out for the cleanup hitter, Chi-Hang Chu. Liner out to shallow right. That'll touchdown out in front of Jake Amos. Amos comes up firing. Throw coming in. Runner coming to the plate and dead to rights. What a throw by Amos. A couple of bounces, but it's in to cut down Han Yu Tseng. Tianxin Kuo will move up to third base, and on the throw, Chi-Hang Chu will go to second. So it is a single to right, but not an RBI single, as that putout goes 9-2 at the plate. And the Australian defense coming up big here in the bottom half of the first inning. Good throw right on target from the right fielder, Jake Amos. A couple of hops, but it was more than in time as it got into Alex Hall, who was there to slap the tag down on Han Yu Tseng. So now second and third, but two gone, and Australia will try to get out of the inning against Yuxuan Li, the first baseman for Chinese Taipei. Over the inside corner for strike one. Kai Hampton pitched for the Adelaide Bite in the Australian Baseball League last year. When he made his debut on November 27th, he was the youngest player in ABL history. This one popped up out of play, backing over the screen behind home plate. 5 for 5 on first pitch strikes already in the bottom half of the first inning for Kai Hampton. Good start, and that's exactly what Steve Fish talked about with his right-hander. He just pounds the strike zone, which is so important, especially at this stage of a tournament like this. Day number 4 for these teams. Pitching is already going to be pretty overextended with 9-man pitching staffs in a tournament that could potentially present the opportunity for 9 games over 10 days for these teams. But Steve Fish really, really likes his strike-throwing ability from this right-hander. So does Graham Lloyd, who has to duck down just to get into your shot. The towering former major leaguer, World Series champion with the New York Yankees. Called strike 3 on the inside corner on a well-spotted 2-strike offering, and Kai Hampton is out of the bottom half of the first inning. It goes strikeout, single, bunt single, single, but nobody comes home thanks to the 9-2 put out from Jake Amos. We will head to the second inning. Australia nothing and Chinese Taipei nothing in game number 20 of the 2017 WBSC U18 Baseball World Cup. Well, 3 hits for Chinese Taipei in the bottom of the first inning, but nobody across thanks to the arm of Jake Amos, the right fielder for Australia, cutting down Han Yu Tseng, trying to score from second base on a single out to right by Chi Hang Chu. So we'll head to the second inning still scoreless, and Australia will send 4, 5, and 6. Jared Dale, who was at the plate when Nick Anderson-Vine was thrown out 2 to 4 on the base paths, trying to move up on a pitch in the dirt and cut down by Wei Su. So Jared Dale steps in with another opportunity. And the first pitch on the way to him. A bender that stays a little bit high. Dale in the lineup at third base today for Australia. Can also play the shortstop position, and he swings and drives this one in the air to center field. Well struck, but tracking it back is Tianchen Kuo. 1 up, 1 down here in the second. That'll send it to Rixon Wingrove.
Batting fifth, first baseman number 28. Le 5e frappeur, le joueur de premier but, le numéro 28, Ryan Wingrove.
Rixon, that first name, R-I-X-O-N for him. Had 3 hits and 2 RBIs in that big win over Guam back in the qualifier. 15-0, Australia won that one. Then the Aussies had to go through New Zealand twice in that tournament. He had 2 hits and an RBI in the January 20th win for Australia that clinched the berth to this U18 World Cup. There you go. Rixon from New South Wales. He was also a member of one of the U18 National Championships teams in Australia this year, and he was the MVP of that tournament. New South Wales, so could presumably see some time in the Sydney Blue Sox organization in pretty short order. And rocking some gorgeous socks. This Australia team has a partnership with Strideline, which has made up some green and gold socks with the Baseball Australia logo. There you see them. The Southern Cross, that constellation that's on the flag for Australia, also over the heart of these Australian players, and in that A logo. The Aussies, wherever they go, they are one of the best uniformed teams. It's always a good look, as Wingrove can't get a piece of that one, and it is into the dirt. A strikeout and a 2-3 putout over at first. So 2 gone, and Mitch Edwards the batter.
Batting 6, designated hitter. Number 5, le 6e frappeur, le frappeur désigné, le numéro 5, Mitch Edwards.
Steve Fish, the manager of this Australia club, was a product of the University of Nebraska and its baseball program back in the 90s. As this one's bounced out to short on a few hops. Shi Jing Lu, no trouble. 3 up, 3 down go the Aussies on a quick and efficient inning for Riyang Gu Lin. And we will head to the bottom half of the second. Australia gone in order. Chinese Taipei set to send 6, 7, and 8 to the dish in the second. Scoreless from Baseball Central in Thunder Bay. Well, Ri Yonggu Lin only needed 7 pitches to get out of the top half of the second inning for Chinese Taipei, and Kai Hampton will try to match something at least close to that efficient against this Chinese Taipei lineup in the bottom half of the second inning. Pei Lin Tai, the designated hitter, will lead things off. First pitch swinging, lifts this one in the air to left, starting back and now racing in. Nick Anderson-Vine on a dive, can't haul it in. And that will go as a leadoff single for Pei Lin Tai, who is aboard. Anderson-Vine just must not have gotten a good read off of the bat with that one. Started back a few steps before realizing he was going to have to come in on that flare, and still almost got there to make the catch. Full extension, but saw that slip away. So a base runner aboard, and Chi Jung Lu, the shortstop, steps into the batter's box. Lu, a graduate from Yingge Vocational High School. He can also pitch. Got the start in game 2 of this tournament on the mound for Chinese Taipei, and we've seen him out there at short in the other 3 games for this team. Really talented. You see that start to the tournament, an .857 average and a massive OPS coming into the day today. 1757. Pretty good start. Lu is a switch hitter, so he's in from the left side here, as you can see. And lays it down, this one trickling toward foul ground, and a great job there by Alex Hall to spring on it as soon as that ball crossed over the chalk into foul territory. Saw a weird one last night in a grounder to first base during the Cuba-Japan game that went around the bag foul and then curled back into fair territory on a ground ball, and Kotaro Kiyomiya was there to field it for Japan. It was a foul ball, but he looked as perplexed as anybody as to what that hit with some weird spin to curl back around the base and foul ground and turn fair again. We've seen some oddities the first few days of this tournament. Had a game a couple of nights ago in which the United States got a base runner on a wild pitch strike 3 who then scored from second base on a subsequent wild pitch strike 3 that allowed another base runner to reach. Foul pop third base side, should be no trouble for Jared Dale, and there's the first out of the inning. Tai will retreat to first base, and that brings up Wei-Chi Su. Su is the captain of this team and a product of Kupao Vocational High. A lot of players on this team from that high school. And noted this in our opening broadcast of a Chinese Taipei matchup, but forever indebted to a Premier 12 color analyst, Adam Wong, over in Taipei, who did so much research on this team to provide me with some notes for this roster. Got to work with Adam for Premier 12 in Taipei, the inaugural edition of that tournament in 2015. Some news about Premier 12 coming out today. Runners off on the 1-0. Bouncing ball perfectly executed on the hit and run through the right side. Wei-Chi Su will push the runner Pei Lin Tai up to third base. Exactly what you want on that hit and run. Runners in scoring position, already 2 opportunities for Chinese Taipei in that first inning. And 0 for 2 and trying to get runs home. 5 hits for Chinese Taipei to this point, with 1 out in the second. And an opportunity for Kai Hampton, if he can roll a grounder, to get out of this. First offering there for a called strike. 9-hole hitter is the left fielder, Maiko Chu, hitless so far in his start to the tournament. But some news today regarding Premier 12 in the 2019 edition of that tournament, as the World Baseball Softball Confederation announcing some hosting information as this one is back to the mound, could be two. The relay throw to first from Jess Williams is a strong one, and a 1-6-3 double play gets Australia out of the inning. Kai Hampton the one to start it. Couple of hits in the second for Chinese Taipei, but nothing across as the right-hander gets out of the inning with no damage done. We'll head to the top half of the third inning in Thunder Bay, scoreless between Australia and Chinese Taipei.
In this happening for Chinese Taipei, no runs scored on 2 hits, no error, 1 runner left on base. We still have a scoreless game after 2 innings of play at Baseball Central.
Top half of the third here at Baseball Central in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Scoreless between Australia and Chinese Taipei. 8 pitches in that inning for Kai Hampton. 7 pitches in the top of the second for Riyong Gu Lin. So not wasting any time, these two arms in the 4th game of the tournament for each of these clubs. Through their first 3, Chinese Taipei 2-1. Got things started with a 7-6 victory over Canada in a classic back on Friday night, the opener to the tournament. That game went to extra innings, tied at 5. Chinese Taipei trailed that game 5-1 at one point, but came back. The staff led by that man right there, Tsung-Chi Chow, the manager of Chinese Taipei, came back from 5-1, tied things 5-5, went to extras. Tiebreaker rules in effect starting in the 10th inning in this tournament. So teams start extra innings with runners at first and second as the first pitch way high and tied to Jake Amos, the right fielder for Australia. Chinese Taipei brought in a pair. Canada had bases loaded and 1 out and saw back-to-back hitters as this ball is crushed to left field. Back toward the wall goes Chu, and it is gone. Australia's got a 1-0 lead. Jake Amos wrecks his first homer of the tournament and is fired up as he gets back to the bench. And his teammates are there with him. Man, that ball, that is not an easy pitch to pull. Amos goes out to the far corner of the plate and somehow is able to rip that ball way out of here to left field. Look at that fist pump around first base for Jake Amos as his team gets on the board first. It's a weird sport. Chinese Taipei 5 hits through the first 2 innings and nothing to show for it. And Australia's second hit puts the green and gold on the board with an early lead. And the first pitch to Dermot Frisch is a called strike, the second baseman for Australia. So this morning, real early morning hours here in local time in Western Ontario, the World Baseball Softball Confederation and Nippon Professional Baseball, the big league in Japan, announced that NPB has been awarded the hosting rights for the Super Round, the second round, which will feature 6 nations in the 2019 Premier 12 tournament. Japan also awarded the rights to host the finals. That will serve as the first qualifying opportunity for the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, in which baseball and softball will make their return. for at least that edition of the Olympics, as this ball bounced right back to the mound. A great job by Gu Lin. Fields his position and throws out Frisch. And that sends it to the 9-hole and the center fielder, Josh Bedgood. Premier 12 venues in Japan will be Chiba Marine Stadium and the Tokyo Dome, which hold respectively 30,000 and 45,000. WBSC, the World Baseball Softball Confederation, currently in discussions with prospective co-hosts for the opening round from multiple nations, which would be really cool. Last year, 2 years ago, I should say, the first edition of Premier 12 opening round, the first game held at Tokyo Dome in Japan. Then everything moved over to Taiwan, hosted at 4 ballparks in Taiwan, and then back to Japan for the finals, the medal games at Tokyo Dome. Opening round and super round just at one location in Taiwan, so the possibility for multiple locations for Premier 12 coming up in 2019. That tournament, of course, will be the top 12 teams on the world ranking table as it stands at the end of 2018. Chinese Taipei certainly figures to be among that group, coming into this matchup as the world's number 4. We've got 10 of the world's top 12 coming into this tournament on the rankings leaderboard as members of this tournament. Big swing and a miss there from Bedgood. Count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The only two not in the top 12, Nicaragua, the world's number 15, South Africa, the world's number 29. South Africa today with a very stern test. They'll take on the United States coming up this afternoon. There's a swing and a miss, and down on strikes goes Josh Bedgood. Third strikeout of the morning for Rixon Gu Lin. And that sends us back to the top of the order, and Jess Williams. Through its start to the tournament, the United States has been stingy, to say the least, with its pitching staff. USA Baseball putting together a roster of what feels like pretty much all future major leaguers on that pitching staff. Only undefeated team in this group, the United States. ERA for that staff combined after 3 games, 0.39 for the U.S. 1-1 bounce foul. Jess Williams flew out to center field in his first trip to the plate. Entering last night, a rain-shortened 6-inning, 6-0 win over Mexico, the U.S. had posted a 0.53 ERA in 2 games. 4 hits allowed, 1 run. They had walked 6. They had struck out 25. And then turned the ball over to a starter, Matthew Liberatore, who went out through 6 dominant innings. As this one lifted in the air, right side, foul ground. Should be no trouble for Yushuan Lee, and the inning will come to a close on the foul out. But the leadoff solo shot homer by Jake Amos, jumping off the bat, an outside pitch that he pulled out of here to left field, and he gets Australia on the board with a 1-0 lead over Chinese Taipei in game number 20 of the 2017 U18 Baseball World Cup.
One scored on 1 hit, no runner left on base. Scores now, national team of Australia 1. National team Chinese Taipei 0.
Australia with a 1-0 lead over Chinese Taipei as we cruise into the bottom of the third inning. A run of support for Kai Hampton from that guy right there, Jake Amos, who crushed a solo homer out of here to left field. Sent Maiko Chu back to the wall, but Chu knew pretty early that that ball was way out of here. So the 7-hole hitter with some pop to give Australia the lead. This game, a crucial one in Group B, or in Group A rather, second time that these groups get mixed up, which happens from time to time. The Group A standings after 3 games for the majority of these teams. Korea coming into the day today, the only unbeaten team in Group A at 3-0. Australia 2-1, Chinese Taipei 2-1. As there you get a look at them. Canada winless, Nicaragua winless. Coming up today in other Group B action, Nicaragua taking on Canada right now, or taking on Korea rather right now over at Port Arthur Stadium, the main ballpark for this tournament. Group B, we'll take a look at those standings in a minute. Japan and the Netherlands, 2 o'clock start time over at Port Arthur today. Here, unbeaten United States squad will take on South Africa coming up this afternoon at 2. And then the night game, Canada will match up with Italy. That Italy team is pretty fun to watch. They're very young. That roster has a lot of 16-year-olds, some 17-year-olds. There's one 15-year-old member of that roster. But they are a fun group as this one tapped out to third. This is going to be a tough play for Jared Dale, whose throw to first is not going to be in time. It pulls Wingrove off the bag. And good hustle there from Hung-Yi Wong, who leads off with a single here in the third. Good play by Jared Dale and a good play by Wingrove to come off the bag and try to slap that tag down, but Wong slipped under it. You can see pretty clearly even on that full speed replay that Wong was already well behind Wingrove as he tried to slap that tag down. So Wong will take his lead away from the first base bag as Chinese Taipei tries to get something going offensively here in the third. That'll result in some runs. Already 6 hits in this game for Chinese Taipei through 2+ innings, trailing 1-0. Han Yu-Tang 1 for 1 with a first inning single. He got things started and then was thrown out of the plate for the second out of that inning, trying to score on the single off the bat of Chi-Heng Chu. Reached on an infield single his first time up, did Tseng. Kai Hampton has pitched with a lot of base traffic so far, but he's gotten some help from his defense. Jake Amos cutting down the potential first run in the person of Tseng at the plate for the second out of the first inning. Push bunt up the first base side. No trouble there for Hampton. Sacrifice. 1-3 goes that put out. Wong will advance to second base. And that'll bring up Tianqin Kuo. So in Group B, the United States unbeaten at 3-0. That team is on to the Super Round. Already wins over a couple of good teams. Netherlands squad, which has put together a couple of good performances so far in this tournament. As that one's bounced up the middle. A great stab ranging to his left by Jess Williams, throwing the first in time for the out. Man, oh man, Jess Williams covered a lot of ground to get that ball off the bat of Tianqin Kuo. And he cuts down the Chinese Taipei center fielder at first. Advancing in front of that grounder to third base, Hung-Yi Wong. So he is now 90 feet away. 3 straight innings in which Chinese Taipei has put a runner at third. And we'll see if today's home team can cash things in. Jess Williams, black eye and all, he's got no trouble making a tough play back up the middle. 2 gone, Chi-Heng Chu the batter. Fouled off of the glove of Alex Hall behind the plate. The U.S. opened this tournament with an 11-1 win over the Netherlands. Netherlands then held tough with Cuba, 3-0 loss for the Kingdom of the Netherlands in that one in game 2, and then routed South Africa yesterday. As that one actually, I guess, got off of Hee-Young Park, our home plate umpire, instead of the glove of Alex Hall. Hee-Young Park behind the plate today. He was also behind the plate for our morning game yesterday when Chinese Taipei beat Italy 9-1. That game was a 5-1 game going into the 9th. Italy held pretty tough and then just ran out of gas at the end, and Chinese Taipei took advantage to distance itself with 4 runs in the top of the 9th. This one bounced out to short. Williams, a little bit easier play this time, and what a job Kai Hampton has done to get out of trouble in each of the 3 innings that he has pitched so far today. 6 hits through 3 for Chinese Taipei, but the lead is Australia's. As we enter the middle third of this game, it's the world's number 8-1 and the world's number 4-0 from Baseball Central in Thunder Bay, Ontario. One 1-0 lead for Australia, top of the 4th inning at Baseball Central here in Thunder Bay, Ontario. An overcast day, but a dry day, and that's the most important thing. The first couple of days of this tournament, first 3, we faced some weather. Last night the rains came late. We'll take a look at the early numbers for Ri-Yong-Gu Lin. Through 3 innings, he has struck out 3, allowed the run on the solo homer. One of 2 hits he has surrendered so far in this matchup, but has pitched well on the wrong end of this score to show for it early on. But we'll head to the top half of the 4th inning. 2, 3, and 4 for Australia. Nick Anderson-Vine, who reached on a bunt single in his first trip to the plate, takes ball 1. Last night, Japan, with the rain starting in the top of the 8th inning, tacked on a run in the bottom of the 8th and held on for a victory over Cuba through that cold rain. 7-2 the final in that one. Japan coming back from a performance on Saturday in which their pitcher struck out 23 U.S. hitters, and it really felt like the United States dominated that game, despite striking out 23 times, which is one of the strangest sentences you can construct about a baseball game. But the U.S. threatened in pretty much every inning offensively to some extent against Japan, and Japan was held to 2 hits by a dominant outing from Ryan Weathers, who came on in a tough spot. That game started, that slider misses a bit low to run it to 3-0 on Nick Anderson-Vine. Started after a weather delay, got through the first inning and into the second inning. The United States saw Tristan Casas hit a mammoth home run the opposite way to left center field. That pitch is high for ball 4. It's a leadoff walk for Nick Anderson-Vine here in the 4th. And then the rains came, and the U.S. was really confident in right-hander Landon Marceau, the starter that the Americans sent to the mound for that game against the world's number 1 Japan. But a 90-minute rain delay wiped out the rest of the night for Marceau. So Ryan Weathers gets turned to on short notice and comes out and just dominates. 7 innings, 1 hit in that game. And the U.S. really put itself in the driver's seat for the opportunity to advance to the second round, as on that pitch in the dirt, Nick Anderson-Vine will move up. So an opportunity with a runner in scoring position now for Alex Hall, who struck out swinging back in the first inning. That ended that frame. But Japan able to bounce back yesterday with that 7-2 victory over Cuba. They were able to finish all 9 through that cold rain over at Port Arthur Stadium. Here at Baseball Central, due to the schedule and the pace of that matchup, the United States and Mexico were delayed in the 6th, and that game ended up going final in 6 innings. Count is even after that swing and miss from Alex Hall. Hall now squares the Australian 3-hole hitter and pops that bunt back to the screen. And it is 1-2 now. Well, Chinese Taipei, a team that is very familiar with success at this competition and in this city. 7 years ago, when then the World Junior Championships, as this tournament was known in 2010, were held here in Thunder Bay. Chinese Taipei came away with the victory. Championship game win in that one. 1-2 on the way, and that one's high and wide. Australia was the silver medalist that year, so this is a rematch of the 2010 World Championship final. Cuba took the bronze, beating the host nation Canada back in 2010. Some alumni from that tournament include Dalton Pompey on that Canada roster, now with the Toronto Blue Jays. Nick Pivetta, now with the Philadelphia Phillies, also a member of the Canada roster. Couple of American roster members that year, Lance McCullers, now with the Houston Astros, and Francisco Lindor with the Cleveland Indians, who played for the United States, of course played for Puerto Rico in the most recent World Baseball Classic. Commonwealth of the U.S. 2-2, high and wide. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Patient at bat here from Alex Hall, the catcher. In front of him, Nick Anderson-Vine worked a walk, moved up to second on a wild pitch. And Hall trying to find his way aboard as well. The United States has won every edition of this tournament since that one. Wins in 2012 and 2013, when this tournament was moved on track to an odd year biennial schedule. Hall stays alive on a foul ball. The U.S. with a win over Japan in 2015 in Osaka to win a world championship, its second straight win over Japan in a gold medal game. This is already a 7-pitch at bat for Alex Hall, trying to find his way aboard. This event, back when it was the Junior World Championships, was an annual competition from 1981 to 1997, and then moved to every other year. 3-2 swing and a miss as Gu Lin wins the battle, striking out Hall for the second time in as many trips to the plate for the Australian catcher. And that'll bring up Rixon Wingrove, the first baseman. Or check that, Jared Dale steps into the batter's box, the third baseman and the cleanup hitter for Australia. Dale led off the second inning with a flyout. That was a 7-pitch second inning for this right-hander Gu Lin. Gu Lin is a senior at Pingjiang High. first offering misses just a little bit elevated. Jared Dale, that name in Australian baseball means a lot in the baseball community. He's the reigning Melbourne Aces Rookie of the Year. His father, Phil Dale, longtime Australian pitching coach for the national team. 1-0, a wave and a miss at that pitch in the dirt. Phil Dale is managed in the ABL as well. Scouts for, I believe, the Kansas City Royals. One pitch. Check swing into the dirt. Ryan Dale, Phil's other son, a member of the Royals minor league system. And Father Phil actually has done scouting with the Atlanta Braves organization. He signed a handful of Australians to that system, including former minor league catcher Matt Kennelly, pitcher Stephen Kent, and outfielder turn pitcher Andrew Russell, who had some success at the minor league level in the Braves organization a few years back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jared Dale trying to get another run home for Australia, and he's going to do the job here. Bloops this one into left center field. It's down for a base hit. Cruising around third base and headed in to score Nick Anderson Vine. An RBI single for Jared Dale, and the Aussies have a 2-0 lead in the 4th. The leadoff walk comes back to hurt this starter, Ryong-Gu Lin. So far, out of 14 batters faced, Gu Lin has thrown first pitch strikes to just 6, so he's finding himself in some disadvantageous counts early on in this matchup. Chinese Taipei doubling up Australia in the hit column to this point, 6-3, but the Aussies have the only 2 runs in this game. There's a swing and a miss on an off-speed pitch to Rixon Wingrove. Wingrove, an imposing bat in from the left side. Count 0-2 on him. Short lead away from first for Dale. Wingrove, the first baseman in this lineup. He can also work behind the plate. The Australians need him there. These teams are so reliant on depth and from guys who can play multiple positions. We've talked a lot about the amount of two-way players, guys who can pitch and play in the field and hitting the batting lineup on a lot of these rosters. Catching depth is another big issue because over the course of a 10-day tournament, as this ball is pummeled down the right field line, but it'll curl foul. Over the course of a tournament like this, you have 2 catchers, that should be enough, but that position's so valuable, you need somebody who can be an emergency guy for you, and this would probably be that for Australia, Rixon Wingrove. Alex Hall and Mitchell Edwards. Hall, the first string guy. Edwards, who is in the lineup as the next man in this order. He's the designated hitter today. One ball, 2 strikes. And Wingrove will stay alive. From New South Wales, he hails from the same area of New South Wales as former big leaguer and current Seattle Mariners color analyst Ryan Rowland-Smith, as well as the minor league Twins, who are in the respective organizations of the Minnesota Twins and the Baltimore Orioles. It's a travesty that Minnesota did not sign both Lachlan and Alex Wells, as this one is bounced foul first base side. But apparently the narrative only goes so far with the Twins. Alex Wells this year in the Baltimore Orioles organization is still, I believe, on an active walkless streak that at last check was at 68 innings at the Class A level for Baltimore. And his brother Lachlan in the Minnesota system. Pitch into the dirt. Jared Dale bluffed off of first base. Already seen one base runner cut down for Australia trying to move up on a pitch in the dirt. That was Nick Anderson-Vine for the second out of the first inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 gone. 2-0 Australia's lead in the top half of the fourth, as things grinding down a little bit for Gu Lin here. Since that 7-pitch second inning, Australia has really worked some better at bats, even despite going in order after the homer in the third. 2-2 on the way. Wave and a miss, and Gu Lin wins the battle against Wingrove for his 5th strikeout through his first 3 2/3, and that brings up Mitch Edwards. So the interesting thing is that Australia does have 2 catchers and an emergency third. All 3 are in the lineup today, as already the next pitch in this inning will be number 26 for Gu Lin. Again, he threw 7 in the second inning, and the Aussies really making him work here in the top of the fourth. First pitch is outside to Mitch Edwards. Of course, the way these arms are managed is so different from the Western teams and the Eastern teams. Japan, Korea, Chinese Taipei, their pitchers throw so much more and so much more often than pitchers from the U.S., Canada, Mexico, Australia, and that was never more on stage than in that matchup between the U.S. and Japan, in which Japan started its left-hander Kento Kawabata. He went out, faced the minimum in the first, then allowed the 2-run homer in the second, issued a walk right behind it, then sat through a 90-minute rain delay, and then came out after that delay, finished the second, and pitched into the 6th. He threw 137 pitches in that game, and I was talking with some members of the USA Baseball staff yesterday. He threw a bullpen before and after that game. So he threw somewhere in the neighborhood of probably 300 pitches on Saturday. Japan has also used relievers on back-to-back days in each of the first couple of games of this tournament. Shunpei Isomura worked on Friday and Saturday. Fumimaro Taro worked on Saturday and Sunday. And Chinese Taipei has gotten some good length out of its starters so far. A lot of pitches in this inning for Gu Lin, who's over the 30 mark now. 2 balls and 2 strikes here on the 6-hole hitter Mitch Edwards. This will be pitch number 30 upcoming. Edwards a ground out to short. That ended the second inning on the 7th pitch of that inning. Gu Lin comes set. Where's number 42, which is not something you see in Major League Baseball or minor league baseball in the U.S. and Canada. 2-2, runner is off with it. Liner out to second on 1 hop. And there, Han Yu-Tseng will put it away. And Mitch Edwards retired for the final out of the inning. We'll head to the bottom half of the fourth. A lengthy 30-pitch top of the frame for Australia. They bring home a run and double the lead as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Australia 2 and Chinese Taipei nothing.
3.5 innings of play. Scores now. National team of Australia 2. National team of Chinese Taipei 0.
Yushuan Lee will lead things off for Chinese Taipei in the bottom of the 4th inning. A strikeout victim in the first to end that frame. Australia being out hit 6-3, but the only 2 runs on the board have gone in favor of the visitors today. Kai Hampton has worked around base traffic, done a great job to get out of some jams. Got some help from his defense in the first. Jake Amos threw out Han Yu Tseng trying to score from second base on a single, and there's an early count. First pitch ground out here to get things started off the bat of Lee, as Rixon Wingrove takes that one to the bag on his own. 1 up, 1 down, Palin Tai the batter. Then in the second, an 8-pitch bottom of the second inning for Kai Hampton, which followed that 7-pitch top of the second for Riyong-gu Lin. And Hampton allowed 2 hits in that inning and threw 8 pitches. And 13 of 15 in first pitch strikes for Kai Hampton. Allowed a leadoff single to this man, Palin Tai, in the second. Then got a foul out as this ball is hammered to right field. Starting over toward the alleyway and now headed back, Amos plays it off the wall. It slips by him, and it's going to end up as a double. Now the throw gets away toward the third base bag, right to Jared Dale. So Palin Tai puts himself in scoring position. He's got his second hit of the morning, and that'll bring up Chi Jung Lu, the shortstop. So when single, foul out, single, and then a double play ball that ended the second inning. Some good contact and a fantastic bat flip from Palin Tai, the Chinese Taipei designated hitter, who coming into the day today had started 2 for 6 in this tournament, so he has bumped his average up to an even 500. As you see Chi Jung Lu with that bow for the home plate umpire Hee Young Park. Chinese Taipei so far 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. There's a foul ball, third base side. You always see that from these Chinese Taipei hitters, and it's so cool. One of those little moments in these games, the hitters introducing themselves prior to the at-bats with a bow to the umpire. Liu, the shortstop and a starting pitcher on this stat, bounces one right side. Good communication over there as Fritsch will feed Wingrove for the out. That's one of those kind of in-between balls where the first baseman, Wingrove, for a second as a first baseman, you've got a thought of going after a ball like that, but Fritsch is the one to play it and get it over to first. Big target over there at first base, Rixon Wingrove. As with 2 gone, the catcher Wei-Chi Su comes to the plate. Su singled through the right side on a perfectly executed hit and run in his first trip to the plate back in the second. Entering the day was just 1 for his first 11 in this tournament. Chi Jung Lu, who we just saw, who is now 0 for 2 today, coming into the day today, had 6 hits in his first 7 at-bats in this tournament, was slugging .857 and had reached at a 900 clip through 3 games. 3 walks, 6 hits and 7 at-bats, all of them singles. He had driven in 2 runs and scored 1. And he'd also stolen a base. 2-0 there for a strike. Liu, the shortstop, also got the start for Chinese Taipei in its second game of this tournament, which was that 8-2 loss to Korea. Won 6 innings in that game, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits. So he's had a good tournament everywhere, as once more Kai Hampton faces base traffic, and once more it does no damage. A grounder to second will end things here in the 4th. A little at the top of the 5th, Australia cruising along behind a right-hander that's given up some hits, 7 of them through 4, but nothing across in the run column. 2-0, the Aussies lead Chinese Taipei.
4 innings of play. Score is now national team of Australia 2, national team of Chinese Taipei 0. Defensive change for Chinese Taipei. Changement défensif pour le Taipei chinois. Now pitching number 46. On s'écue le numéro 46. Juan Chao Chin.
New arm into the ball game for Chinese Taipei as we head to the top half of the 5th inning after a 67-pitch outing from Riyonggu Lin. The right-hander Chao-Ching Wang will take over on the mound. Wang, 1 inning of work so far in the tournament, and all zeros across. He faced the minimum: no strikeouts, no walks, no hits, no runs. So Juan takes over on the mound here in the 5th. Final line on Gulin: 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned. He struck out 5 and walked 1. The Chinese Taipei will save the rest of those bullets out of the arm of its starter today for a later date and get some work out of Juan as we move into the 5th. Pretty good outing today for Gulin, who only gave up the 3 hits, but one of them a solo homer to Jake Amos and an RBI single to Jared Dale last inning. So as we go to the 5th, it'll be Amos to lead things off here as he did in the 3rd. And he yanked a solo home run to get things started in the 3rd inning. Juan will work from the stretch for the entirety of his day. First offering outside. This was Jake Amos back in the 2nd inning for Australia. Pitch over the outer part of the plate that Amos got the bat head around and crushed out over the left field wall to get his team on the board. Waves and doesn't get a piece of that 1-0 offering. Well, the Aussies, it is a chilly morning here in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and nobody more personifies the feeling of some of the Aussies toward this weather than Sam Finn, who is the communications guru for Team Australia, who's got the hoodie, the pullover, and gloves that he bought at Walmart this week, and told me today, I hate cold weather, man. I can't deal with this.
Get closer to the plate.
Not exactly what he's used to, especially this time of the year. The Aussies will return home to spring, which makes so many of the rest of us jealous. And the Australian Baseball League season will get started coming up in late October, early November. But not real big on the chilly temperatures. David Candelas, the man in the front there, former Colorado Rockies minor leaguer. Graham Lloyd to his right. Candelas on this roster now serving as a hitting and outfield coach for this Australian team. There's a liner to left center field. That'll dunk down for a base hit. May get to the alleyway. Cutting it off before it's able to split the outfielders is Chu. Racing into second with a hustle double is Jake Amos, who has led off 2 innings today and is now 2 for 2 with a homer to left and a double to left center. And the Australians in business again in the 5th with a runner in scoring position to get things started. Just hung back on that breaking ball and drove it to left center field. The reason that turns into a double for Amos, Maiko Chu, the left fielder for Chinese Taipei, had him shaded kind of over toward the line with how well he pulled that ball back in the 2nd inning. So it took Chu a little while to get to things, to get to that ball in left center. The Aussies 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position today. They'll get another opportunity here with Dermot Frisch at the plate. It was Jared Dale who came through with an RBI single last inning after a walk and a wild pitch to Nick Anderson-Vine, and that gave Australia its 2nd run of the game. First pitch off of the outside corner to Dermot Frisch. So it took a little while for Chu to get to that ball in left center, and seeing that, Jake Amos racing around first and sliding in before that ball could even get through the relay man, the shortstop Chi-Jung Liu. So a heck of a start to the day for Jake Amos, the right fielder. That one into the dirt. Hitters count now for Dermot Frisch. Frish's brother Josh played briefly for Canberra in the Australian Baseball League, the Canberra Cavalry. And Dermott can pitch as well, a side armor when he's on the mound. An infielder who gets the start at second base today. Waves and doesn't get a piece of the 2-0 at 82 miles an hour. That no batting glove look for Dermott Frisch, who's rocking the long sleeves. Nobody's doing it like Sam Finn today, though. 2-1 on the way. No, they're swinging and miss. That one ratcheted up to 84 from this right-hander. Noted before the break that Ryong Gu Lin last inning wearing the number 42, which you don't see in the U.S. or Canada at the professional levels, because that is retired baseball wide in honor of the late Jackie Robinson. So it's always kind of cool on the international stage to see players who do wear that number, as the 2-2 is off the plate outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Retired for USA Baseball as well. You won't see a player on the U.S. side wearing the number 42. Three-two pitch. Bluffing away from second base was Amos. He's going to be able to advance on this ground ball as that is punched out to short. Frisch retired 6-3, but Amos will move up to third base. Overcast skies still overhead here in Thunder Bay at the moment. It'll be a mostly cloudy day today. We may get some sun this afternoon and into this evening. Hopefully the rain will stay away. It was supposed to be a pretty dry day all day today, but kind of touch and go all week this week, it seems like, weather-wise, which it's fall. It's going to be that way. Possibility of some rain tomorrow. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday looking good so far. A little bit cooler over the next 2 days here as, man, the squeeze play was on, and Amos got hung out to dry trying to get back into the bag in a base running gaff, or maybe just a bunt missed by Josh Bedgood. Somebody missed a sign, and the Australians run themselves into an out as Amos is caught straying way too far down the baseline. 2-5 goes that put out, and it looked like it was just supposed to be the squeeze, and Bedgood took the bat back on the bunt attempt. Not a safety squeeze either. Amos was breaking on the pitch toward the plate, and he would have been in had that ball been put in play. He would have been in easily as this 1-0 tapped up the first base side, and it's the pitcher Juan who cuts in front of his first baseman and takes that to the bag on his own to retire the side. Australia gets a leadoff double, but wastes it on the base paths. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th inning. The Aussies with a 2-0 lead over Chinese Taipei.
In the 7th for Australia, they're on for a one-hit runner. The runner left on base. fielder, number 7, advantage of the goal, Shimano set, Chu Michael.
Two to nothing Australia's lead as we move into the bottom of the 5th inning. Kai Hampton working on a good one so far for today's visitors from Australia. Squaring around to show bunt and take it back. Maiko Chu, the left fielder, batting out of the 9 spot in this Chinese Taipei. Hampton, the thing that Steve Fish and Graham Lloyd and this staff really like about him is he pounds the strike zone. An overwhelming first pitch strike rate today for the Aussies, which as of this at bat stands at 15 of 18. As this ball lifted foul ground, may stay in fair territory. It does. Third base side. Jared Dale, the one to put it away.
Third baseman number 35.
And that sends us back to the top of the order. And Hung Yi Wong. Something we always like to touch on with Chinese Taipei and Korea and Japan. A cultural difference in names, which is Hung Yi Wong, who we'll use as the example as he bounces this one out to second base. Wong is the family name for him. So in Western culture, we use that as the second name, the surname, when speaking. In Japan and Korea and Taiwan, that is the first name said. So for example, the reason why when Ichiro Suzuki came over, he went with Ichiro as the name on the back of his jersey. That's what he was known by at home. So we flip those names for Western broadcasts. It's if your name is Kai Hampton, Hampton the family name goes in the back. And so that's the reason for that switch. So every once in a while you'll see those names listed as, in this example, Seng Han Yu. We turn those around for the international broadcast as the count is no balls and 2 strikes. First time I ever noticed that was in the 2006 World Baseball Classic, hearing the names announced in Korean for the Korea team. As this ball lifted in the air to left field, we'll cut the story short. 8 pitches in that frame and a very efficient inning once more for Kai Hampton, who is putting himself in a real good spot, and his team as well. Australia cruising early with a 2-0 lead over Chinese Taipei here at Baseball Central in Thunder Bay, Ontario. There it is, beautiful Thunder Bay, Ontario, the site for this 2017 WBSC U18 Baseball World Cup. As we got some field maintenance underway at the end of the 5th inning. The Marina and City Hall, the building with the white roof and the columns in the center part of your screen right now. Thunder Bay, formerly a region of 2 towns, Port Arthur and Fort Williams, which combined in the 70s to form one city, Thunder Bay, which has been a spot on the international baseball calendar for some time now. Hosted this tournament back in 2010, in which this was the gold medal game. Chinese Taipei came away with gold, Australia with the silver. That's kind of the story of Australian baseball over the last couple of decades, sort of always the bridesmaid, never the bride. The Aussies can make it into those big-time games, but don't come away with the title as often as Baseball Australia would like. They were in the gold medal matchup against Japan in the U23 World Cup last year in Monterrey, Mexico. Dropped that game. Australia played very well early on in that game, but ended up losing 10-3. The Aussies had a 3-0 lead going to the bottom of the 4th. In that inning, committed 2 errors, and then surrendered 5 in the 6th. 2 homers in that frame from Yusuke Masago leading off the inning, and a 3-run shot from Taishi Haruka, the first baseman, batting out of the 9 spot for Japan's U23 team. Australia's always got the talent. They've got the experience and the exposure to compete on this stage always, and they always put themselves in good positions. It seems like that last piece just hasn't fallen into place sometimes for this Australia club. So this year they will look to change that around. The U18 World Cup. This guy, a big component to the start for Australia today. Jess Williams, who 0 for 2 at the plate, but he has looked great out in the field. The leadoff man for Australia, as we're back at the top of the order. We'll take you back to last inning. Australia wasting an opportunity on the base paths as Jake Amos doubled to lead things off, moved to third base on a ground out by Dermot Frisch right behind him, but then with 1 gone and Josh Bedgood at the plate, Jake Amos cut down, trying to come home on a squeeze play. Well, let's take a look at how we got to this point with the Aussies out in front. 2-0. Back in the 3rd, Jake Amos leading things off, hammering a solo homer out over the left field wall. That got Australia on the board. And then 1 inning later, Jared Dale coming through with an RBI single to left center field. That brought home Nick Anderson-Vine, who had walked to open the inning and advanced to second on a wild pitch. And Australia looked like it was in business for a 3-0 lead after that double, as this one's bounced right back to the mound and knocked down by Chao Ching Wan, who will get the leadoff out on Jess Williams. The double, the output Jake Amos at third base with less than 2 gone, and then the squeeze play was on, and somebody misread it. Either it was supposed to be a safety squeeze when the bunt was off the bat and put in play, and the base runner should have held an Amos, or Josh Bedgood just didn't realize that he had to get that ball down somehow. He took the bat back, and that hung Amos out to dry on the base paths. So that was the 2nd out of the inning. Then Bedgood bounced out back to the mound to end the top of the 5th. So Australia still with a 2-0 lead. Swinging a bouncing ball foul, third base side off the bat of Nick Anderson-Vine. Nick has been aboard in each of his 2 trips to the plate. Bunted for a single back in the 1st inning and was caught stealing 2-4 on a pitch in the dirt. And a terrific throw to get him from Wei Chi Su. Feels like we've talked about this in every single game at this point, but the catching in this tournament has been outstanding. 0-2, a wave and a miss, pulling the string back. Great 2-strike offering there from Chao Ching Wan. That is his first strikeout of the morning. Early first pitch here for this one, just past 11 o'clock in the morning now. U.S. and South Africa on tap. here at this ballpark today. That game is scheduled for a 2 o'clock first pitch between the world's number 2, the United States, and the world's number 29, South Africa. Swing and a miss from Alex Hall, who's already got 2 Ks on his line today. Hall coming into the day was the leading hitter on this Australian team. And he serves this one in the air down the left field line. A long, long run and over into the foul territory warning track area in front of the fence. Mike Ochu is there to haul it in. And the foul out will end the inning quickly. The Australians gone in order for the second time today. We will head to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Australia, a couple of runs on 4 hits, standing up so far, leading Chinese Taipei 2-0 after 5.5 at Baseball Central in Thunder Bay, Ontario. Second 1-2-3 inning, but the 4th time they've sent the minimum. Great start to the day for this young right-hander Kai Hampton and the Australian national team with a 2-0 lead over Chinese Taipei as we move into the bottom of the 6th inning. Hampton allowed 3 hits in the first inning, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and then worked his first perfect inning in the 5th. And despite 7 hits, he is not allowed a run to cross. Chinese Taipei has left 5 aboard. Gotten some great help from his defense, a double play that ended the 2nd inning. Jake Amos has been the hero so far for Australia. He threw out a runner at the plate back in the 1st as Tianxin Kuo will lead things off here in the 6th inning. Then he homered in the top half of the 3rd inning and doubled in the 5th. So Amos is starred for the green and gold today. I don't think he's going to need the sunglasses that are on the bill of his cap this morning. Although when we got up this morning and headed here, there was some sunshine. But cloud cover moved in just before first pitch and cooled things off for this morning matchup between the world's number 4 Chinese Taipei and the world's number 8 Australia. The winner of this game really in the driver's seat for a super round berth as that one laced foul the other way into the stands. And caught a piece of a guy who throws it back onto the field in silent protest to being whacked by a foul ball off the bat of Tianxin Kuo. Kuo bunted for a single in his first AB. That was back in the 1st inning, and he grounded out to short. And he'll line this one over the head of the shortstop, Jess Williams, and down in left field for a leadoff single. 3rd time today that Chinese Taipei has gotten a leadoff single to left. Beilin Tai did it in the 2nd inning. Hung Yi Wang did it in the 3rd. And now it's Tianxin Kuo's turn here in the bottom half of the 6th. First 2 guys to follow that formula made it to 3rd base and were stranded there. Chinese Taipei will try to break that string here in the 6th as Chi Heng Chu stands in the batter's box. Chu, the right fielder, he's the best pure hitter on this team. A power bat in from the right side. Also a member of that Kupao Vocational High team. A really, really strong program. that has produced a ton of the talent. As the runner goes, throw down to second base, not in time. Strong throw from Alex Hall, but Tianchen Kuo slides in under the tag. We'll get another look at the replay. That's our umpire from South Africa, the lone representative from South Africa among our umpiring group for this year's U18 Baseball World Cup. Here's the slide, and man, as close as it gets at second base. Great slide by Tianchen Kuo to get under that tag of Dermot Frisch. So a stolen base puts a man in scoring position. That's the first steal of the day for Chinese Taipei. And a swing and a fly ball to right field. Should be no trouble for Amos. And certainly nobody is going to test the howitzer that's attached to the right arm of Jake Amos in right as he fires a seed to third base, and the runner will hold. That is just the second successful stolen base for Chinese Taipei in this tournament out of 5 attempts. So with one gone, the task will fall to Yuxuan Li. Li 0 for 2 to this point. Chinese Taipei now 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position on the day. Trying to drive in runs. Not been the strong suit for this lineup as of yet. 8 hits on the day, doubling up Australia's hit total. But Kai Hampton has negated any damage from this lineup. Facing a big left-handed bat here in the first baseman lead. 0-1 on the way to him. Bouncing ball foul. Lee entering today 2 for his first 13, now 2 for 15. He has driven in a couple of runs. Both of those hits singles. 3 strikeouts now in the tournament for him. Hampton set, look at the runner, 0-2, breaking ball. And this is for ball 1. Yuxuan Li, this is maybe the best fun fact that we have about this lineup. His nickname among his teammates on this Chinese Taipei roster is Fat Bro. 1-2 pitch on the way. That one's sliced foul the other direction. Fat Bro Yuxuan Li, power left-handed bat. He is from Pumen Senior High School. By the way, Kupao Vocational High, which produced so many of the members of this roster, is a public 3-year high school in Taipei City. Fat Bro trying to come through here with an 0-2 line on the day for him and a 1-2 count here in the 6th. Wheel and a look at second from Hampton. That chases Tianchen Kuo back to the bag. Single to left and a stolen base for Kuo. That's how he got there. A fly out to right field for Chi-Heng Chu followed. Hampton ready again. Trying to once more get out of a jam with a runner in scoring position. 1-2 to the right side. He'll get the out. The runner will advance once more. 3 unassisted to put out. That's the second time today that Chu has grounded out to first base unassisted. Easy one there for Rixon Wingrove, but once more a leadoff single for Chinese Taipei has turned into a runner at third base with 2 outs. And the home team today yet to cash in any of this base traffic. No runs on 8 hits so far. First pitch from Hampton to the 6-hole hitter, Peilin Tai, who is 2 for 2 today, there for a strike. Tai came into the morning 2 for his first 6, so he's an even 500 hitter. Now in his 3rd game in the lineup. Got his first extra base hit with 1 out in the 4th. He doubled to right. 0-1 to him. Tried to check his swing, went around. Third base umpire Darren Scott bringing him up on that swing. No balls, 2 strikes. Outfield is straight away against this left-handed hitting DH. And the 0-2 coming. Bounced out to first. Should be no trouble for Wingrove. And once again, Chinese Taipei puts a runner at third base and leaves him there. Back-to-back groundouts to first. End things here in the bottom of the 6th. And we will head to the 7th. Australia and Kai Hampton in control this one. A 2-0 lead over Chinese Taipei. Headed to the top of the 7th inning, Australia 2 and Chinese Taipei nothing. This one a big matchup out of Group A as we get closer and closer to the Super Round for the 2017 World Baseball Softball Confederation U18 Baseball World Cup. Korea a 3-0 record to start and a crazy first inning over at Port Arthur we'll tell you about here in a minute. Australia and Chinese Taipei, this matchup, the 2010 gold medal game, a crucial one here in the opening round in Group A. Both those teams 2-1. Italy 1-2. Canada winless so far. Nicaragua winless as well. Canada rained out against Nicaragua. So actually both those teams 0-2 as of right now. That game will be moved back to Wednesday, our rain day. That was supposed to be here. Actually, supposed to be over at Port Arthur as a bunt attempt down on the first pitch of the 7th inning off of the bat of Jared Dale, and on the tag, he'll be put out over at first. Good job by Yuxuan Lee to come off the bag and receive that throw and slap the tag down. As we have it right now on the live feed from Port Arthur, Korea has a 5-1 lead. Pretty good bunt off the bat of Jared Dale, but the cleanup hitter cut down. 5-1 in the first inning on an inside the park grand slam, as we've got it right now from Port Arthur. 5 runs in the bottom of the first for Korea. Inside the park homer, rare enough. An inside the park grand slam that you almost never see.
Who's this?
That Korea team, they brought a stacked squad. In Hyuk Yi is the one who cranked the grand slam. There's a swing and a drive out to right field that'll get down on one hop in front of the right fielder Chi-Hang Chu. A base hit for Rixon. Wingrove is off the schneid after an 0-for-2 start with a couple of strikeouts. Actually, we're a little bit delayed in the box score. It was an inside the park grand slam. That was in the first inning, and South Korea has built its lead to 12-1. Game in the 5th inning over at Port Arthur. So Korea sitting pretty to improve to a perfect 4-0 today. Beating up on Nicaragua right now. Foul into the screen first offering to Australia's DH Mitch Edwards. Mitch was a member of a really cool team last fall that was put together by Major League Baseball for high-level high school athletes from around the world. Counts 0-2 on him. The MLB World Select Team, which played at the Arizona Senior Fall Classic last year. 10 players from Australia on that roster. Mitchell Edwards, one of them. Got to play against some of the best college programs. Memphis, Tennessee was one of the sites of action for that World Select Team before the Senior Fall Classic event in Arizona, which really gives players and representatives from Baseball Australia a chance to build some relationships with coaches and scouts. That one lined out to first, and it's going to turn into a double play that will end the inning as Yushuan Lee snares it, takes it back to the bag to double off Rixon Wingrove, and Australia is gone here in the 7th. Kind of a strange line today for Australia. They have had base runners in multiple innings now in which they've still sent the minimum. 3 innings today, they've sent the minimum despite getting a runner on, and that'll do it for the Aussies in the 7th. Headed to the bottom of the 7th inning, Australia leading Chinese Taipei 2-0.
Shortstop number 11, the really cool Yellow.
Back at beautiful Baseball Central in Thunder Bay, Ontario, our secondary site for games in this 2017 WBSC U18 Baseball World Cup. Australia with a 2-0 lead over Chinese Taipei, leading things off for today's home team, the switch-hitting shortstop Chi Jung Liu. This ballpark hosting opening round action and will host the consolation round coming up Thursday, Friday, Saturday here in Thunder Bay. Port Arthur Stadium will be the site for Super Round games and our medal games coming up on Sunday. We'll have the bronze medal game at 12 o'clock, midday start time to determine our bronze medalist, and the World Championship final coming up at 5 o'clock on Sunday, September 10th from Port Arthur Stadium. It's going to be a lot of fun. 2-1 pitch into the screen. Count is even on Chi Jung Liu, who came into the day today just crushing at the plate, an .857 hitter entering the day through 3 games. 0 for his first 2 today, a foul out to third base in the 3rd. He's now a .600 hitter after those 2 at-bats, and call him 0 for 3 today. Rung up on strike 3, so that foul out in the 3rd, a ground out to second base in the 4th. Check that, the foul out in the 2nd. And then the ground out to second base in the 4th, and now a looking strike 3 here, leading things off in the 7th. And Kai Hampton continues to cruise against this lineup. Hampton has just done the little things right. He's not blowing a whole lot of guys away. That's his 3rd strikeout of the day. But this is the most important thing. Kai Hampton, a lot of first pitch strikes. He has not walked a single batter. That one's on a line just past the dive of Rixon Wingrove and on into right field. So it's a 1-out single. Chinese Taipei with another base runner. That is the 9th hit of the day for Chinese Taipei, which has only been retired in order once today. That came back in the 5th. Other than that, runners to scoring position in every single inning and a runner to 3rd base in every single inning in this game for Chinese Taipei. They have not brought home a single one as of yet. So we got a pinch hitter now in this spot for Chinese Taipei. The left fielder, Maiko Chu, is out. Changling Li, who is listed on the roster as a catcher, but presumably will take this spot in the order going forward, or could just be a pinch hitting appearance. The benches are so short in this tournament. That's why the likelihood that you're going to see somebody come on as a pinch hitter and not stay in the game is pretty low. Visit to the mound from the Australian pitching coach Graham Lloyd, who size-wise looks like he would be the most intimidating pitching coach to have come visit you, but one of the friendliest guys in all of baseball. Former World Series champion with the New York Yankees. Changling Li is definitely an offensive guy as far as the catching tandem goes for this Chinese Taipei team. Wei-Chi Su, who's gotten the nod in each game for Chinese Taipei, a terrific defensive backstop. Li is really a super utility guy for this team. He can play all over the place. Can even pitch. He's touched the upper 80s from the pitcher's mound and attended high school at the affiliated Taichung Agricultural Senior High of National Chongqing University in Taichung. Bit of a mouthful. 1 and 2 the count on him now. But considerable power. He has homered with a wooden bat in an official game, which is not something that these young athletes play with all that much at the lower levels, getting their career started in amateur ball in Taiwan. Hampton trying to roll something on the infield. 1-2, called strike 3. A terrific breaking ball fading away from the pinch hitter Lee, who's gone on strikes. 4th strikeout of the day and the 2nd of the inning. Just freezes Changling Li. And that turns the lineup card over and sends it back to the top spot and Hung Yi Wong. That went in for a strike to start things to Wong. Looked like a first pitch changeup that time from Kai Hampton. But Hampton has just pounded the zone. No walks today for the Australian starter. He has scattered 9 hits. He's dealt with base traffic and runners to scoring position in 5 of his first 6 innings. 1-out single here. Wei-Chi Su remains at first. Chinese Taipei 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position today. Trying to move a runner there right now. 1-1. Bouncing ball back out over the pitcher's mound to short. Jess Williams, no trouble to take that. The short route to the second base bag, and the inning comes to a close. Kai Hampton dealing through 7. He has scattered 9 hits and is blanking Chinese Taipei. We'll head to the top of the 8th. Australia 2 and Chinese Taipei nothing.
national team of Chinese Taipei, number 13, Rixon.
Top half of the 8th inning, it has been all Australia. The star of this one on the pitcher's mound for the Aussies, Kai Hampton, who's gone 7 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts, no walks, 9 hits. Not often you see a guy get through 7 innings, giving up 9 hits and no runs, but Kai Hampton has been brilliant for this Australia side. And as we head to the top half of the 8th, another inning of work for Chao Ching Wan, who will step onto the pitcher's mound. Took over in the 5th inning after the start of Rigong Gu Lin, who went 4, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. He struck out 5 with a walk. And the guy to victimize him for a solo homer was the man in the batter's box right now, Jake Amos. Amos has been a star all over the field today. A homer leading off the 3rd inning, a double leading off the 5th. He was caught on the base paths in that inning, but threw out a runner at the plate in the 1st. And Amos has been a lot of fun to watch today for this Australia team. Jake, at this year's National Youth Championship, he's a New South Wales boy as well. 475 hitter. He led the U18s with 14 RBIs in 11 games and won the batting award in that competition. 2-1 off the plate, low and away to him. 3 balls and a strike. Well, Sam Finn stopped by between innings and gave us the heads up that former Adelaide Bite star Tom Bryce is tuned in. Got to watch Tom when I was working for the Sydney Blue Sox back during the inaugural season of the ABL in 2010-2011. There's a bouncing ball out to short. And it gives us a chance to tell you about the Bite and the connection between these 2 teams and the Adelaide Bite. As a 6-3 putout retires Jake Amos.
Second baseman number 15, number 10, Fresh.
Adelaide has signed one of the real legends of Taiwanese baseball, Taishan Zhang, who is an assistant coach on this staff for Chinese Taipei. He is the all-time leader in Chinese Professional Baseball League history in home runs and hits. 289 homers, 2,134 career hits. Member of the coaching staff for Tsung Chi Chow. And today, he's in the opposing coach's box, the opposing dugout, from another Adelaide Bite roster member, and that's the young starter Kai Hampton. And Kai Hampton took a photo along with Jack LaLaughlin, the staff ace for this Australia team. Both of those guys, SA products, South Australia natives, who will play for the Bite in 2017-2018. And combined, their age is less than that of the 40-year-old slugger who will join their roster, Taishan Zhang, who is a star in Taiwanese baseball and one of the real legends of the sport in that country. 1-2 off the plate outside to the 8-hole hitter Dermot Frisch. So that is pretty cool, and that's one of the things that shows you the small world nature of baseball sometimes. 2 young Australian pitchers who will team up with a legend of Taiwanese baseball who's 40 years old, and the three of them meet for the first time in Thunder Bay, Ontario, prior to the Australian season, as a check swing is strike 3 on Dermot Frisch, who is retired. That's the second strikeout of the morning for this reliever, Chao Ching Wan. Tom Bryce played a heck of a lot of good ball for Adelaide over the course of his ABL career. Former outfielder and a former minor leaguer in the United States in the Chicago White Sox organization. As the first pitch is in to Josh Bedgood, a little bit outside the zone for a ball, and that one's into the dirt. Got a piece of our home plate umpire, Hee Young Park. Haven't gotten an update since poor Hee Young Park. He's gotten beaten up today behind the plate. Haven't gotten an update since Saturday night on umpire Jorge Niebla, who took a fastball off of the hand on a foul tip of the plate. That was a ball that came in at 95 miles an hour from U.S. reliever John Ginn, who was dominant in his one inning of work. 2 strikeouts for the United States closer. But one of his pitches into, I believe it was Hisanori Yasuda, the third baseman for Japan. Yasuda just kind of redirected it right into the hand of the home plate umpire Niebla, as this one grounded out to short. Will be a 6-3 putout and a 1-2-3 inning. Australia has sent the minimum since the start of the 5th. They've got 2 hits over that span, but nothing to show for it, and hanging on to a 2-0 lead as we move into the bottom of the 8th inning in game number 20 of the 2017 WBSC U18 Baseball World Cup. Well, the man of the hour for the Australian national team as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning is the right-hander Kai Hampton, who will take the ball for the 8th and try to continue a scoreless day on the mound. No runs on 9 hits for Chinese Taipei. He struck out 4. He has not issued a walk in 79 pitches. So certainly conceivable that we could see him go the distance if he makes it through this 8th inning cleanly. Kai Hampton has been fantastic, and exactly the scouting report that Steve Fish, the Australian manager, gave me on Hampton before this game, which is he's going to throw a lot of strikes. He gets a first pitch out here, and that has been crucial for Kai Hampton today. Early count outs have been huge for him, as the leadoff man, Han Yud Sang, is retired. The second baseman getting things started in this inning. Told you about former Adelaide Bite outfielder Tom Bryce, who was tuned in. Former Adelaide Bite closer Matt Williams as well. Actually, Matty might still be thrown in 2017-2018. But watching a member of his team's pitching staff dominate in this game, Matty Williams, the ABL single-season saves record holder. And the man who can grow the greatest red beard you've ever seen. There's a bouncing ball out to second base. That one kicks off of the glove of Dermot Frisch, who just got himself a little bit tied up on his footwork with an in-between hop. That's going to go as an E4. That is the first error charged to the Australians. Actually, check that. The second error charged to the Australians today. So that will allow Tianxin Kuo aboard. No, that is error number 1. It just went up on the board so quickly. Thought it had already been up there, but the E4 allows the 3-hole hitter Kuo to reach. So with every base runner, the tying run comes to the plate for Chinese Taipei. That's the thing, is a beautiful breaking ball catches the plate for a first pitch strike to Chi-Hang Chu. 1 for 3 today, a single to right field back in the first inning, a ground out to short that ended the third, and a fly out to right for the first out of the 6th. Chinese Taipei has gone in order exactly 1 time in this game. 1-2-3 inning back in the 5th. Fastball a little bit high to even the count at a ball and a strike. But this is a great outing for Kai Hampton. It is a weird outing too. To come into this inning at 79 pitches, having allowed 9 hits and only worked 1 1-2-3 inning, but be shutting out an opposing team. You got kind of a flyby overhead. We're pretty close to Thunder Bay International Airport and had a prop plane buzz close to the light towers over right field and head off beyond center. There it goes. Banking away from us. 2-0 our score. Australia has led this game since the leadoff homer by Jake Amos in the 3rd. 1-2, big swing and a miss, and another out as Kai Hampton continues to baffle this lineup. What an amazing start for this young man. Kai Hampton, who made his Australian Baseball League debut last year as the youngest player in league history. That was on November 27th versus the Melbourne Aces, and then was the youngest player in ABL history to earn a win, January 29th versus the Sydney Blue Sox. First pitch swinging and fouling a pitch away. Yushuan Lee, the first baseman, who's 0 for 3 today. A couple of ground outs to his counterpart, Rixon Wingrove, at first, and a looking strikeout that ended the first inning against Hampton. Kai in that game against Sydney, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run allowed, and here is a common theme: no walks and 3 strikeouts. That was his last appearance of the year. 2 total games, an ERA of 1.35 for Hampton against some really, really good baseball players in the ABL. Guys playing at the professional level all over the international baseball community. Minor league baseball in the United States. Some former big leaguers, current big leaguers. Peter Moylan has worked in the Australian Baseball League the last couple of seasons, member of the Kansas City Royals bullpen. And players from the CPBL in Taiwan, Nippon Professional Baseball, the minor league systems for those teams in Japan, the Korea Baseball Organization, some of their affiliates. Kai Hampton also won an Australian Senior League title with the Adelaide Armada. And in 32 batters today, he has thrown 25 first pitch strikes, including one in this at-bat to Yushuan Lee. That is a 78.1% rate. And it sounds like a simple formula. It is not an easy thing to execute, but throwing strikes in this tournament is so massive because with short pitching staffs and with a lot of games over a short span of time, you're asking a lot of your pitchers in terms of their workload. And if you can go out and get an outing like this in which your bullpen only has to turn 1 inning in, maybe not even that, this is a massive day for this Australia staff, because you're not counting on getting a rest day during the first 5 days of this opening round. You'll get one on Wednesday, but certainly in a tournament like this, you're not counting on having too many days in which you're not going to go to the bullpen. 1-2, runners away from first. Throw down to try to get him. There is a strong one and not in time to get Tianxin Kuo. A great throw from Alex Hall, but just a little bit tardy as Kuo is in with his second stolen base in the last 3 innings. And the count is 2-2 on Yuxuan Li. Hampton will try to get out of it right at the plate. 2-2 pitch is on the way. Off the plate outside, and the count is full. In that senior league title, Kai Hampton pitched a complete game shutout to lead Adelaide to the championship. Pretty good day. And this one might match it, the way Hampton has thrown to this point. But he's got to get out of the 8th. He's facing the tying run right now on the left-handed bat of Yuxuan Li. Pitch on the way on 3-2. Bounced right back to him off his glove. Not going to be an easy play for anybody, and it's not a play at all. It's your only instinct as a pitcher and as an athlete to try to knock that ball down and make the play on your own, and it's so easy for those of us watching to say, probably should have just let that one go. That would have been enough to get out to Jess Williams and a relatively easy play for the Australian shortstop, but instead it'll go as the 10th hit of the game for Chinese Taipei. And now runners at the corners and 2 gone. And we're gonna get a pinch runner for Chinese Taipei as Tan Chu will take over at first base. Chung-Chi Chow will go to the bench for a replacement for Yuxuan Li, the first baseman. Kind of interesting here because now we've seen 2 members of this short bench for Chinese Taipei already enter this game. So Yuxuan Li's day is done. And we already saw the end of the day earlier today from Maiko Chu. So getting everything sorted out with the pinch runner, Tan Chu. We've seen Chu in as the center fielder for a couple of games. Actually, yeah, starts in all 3 games coming into the day today. First pitch swinging, a foul ball up the first base line. With runners in scoring position today, 11 opportunities for Chinese Taipei, 1 hit. Pei Lin Tai trying to change that momentum right now. And a bouncing ball, he's not going to do it. Right into the glove of Hampton, who will underhand flip it to Rixon Wingrove. And what a day for this young right-hander from South Australia. He gets out of yet another jam with runners at the corners in the 8th. 2 more left aboard for Chinese Taipei. That is 9 runners left on now through 8 innings. And as we head to the top of the 9th inning, Hampton the star, Australia in front 2-0.
Defensive changes to Chinese Taipei. Now playing shortstop, number 1, Kuo Tianxin. Now playing center field, number 8, Chou Chang. Now playing first base, number 11, Yo Chun-jun.
Defensive changes for Chinese Taipei as we move along into the top half of the 9th inning of a classic here at Baseball Central. A 2-0 lead for Australia, the world's number 8, over Chinese Taipei, the world's number 4. Taking over at shortstop, Tianxin Kuo, who was the starter in center field for Chinese Taipei today. The pinch runner, Tan Chu, will move out to center. He got the start there each of the first 3 games for this Chinese Taipei team. And at first base will be Chi-Jung Liu. So the star on this Chinese Taipei roster, Liu, moves from short to first as the first pitch is roped down the right field line off of the bat of the leadoff man, Jess Williams. This is going to be extra bases. Williams flying around first, digging for second. Now he's going to get the windmill from his third base coach, and he's going to slide in with a leadoff triple here in the 9th inning. Man, the wheels on Jess Williams. That ball was well struck, obviously to get out to the wall, but what enabled the triple is the fact that Chi-Heng Chu had some trouble digging it out at the wall. It died as it kicked off of the base, the concrete base under that fence out and right. No carom there for Chu to play, and Williams coming around second. It started to slow a little bit, and then Damian Shanahan, his third base coach, gave him the emphatic arm signal to come to third, and Williams slides in well ahead of that throw. So now an opportunity for Australia to add to this lead. The infield comes in for Chinese Taipei, and Nick Anderson Vine to the plate. Check swing, that pitch is there for a strike anyway, it's 0-1. Anderson Vine today, a bunt single in the first inning, a walk in Australia's second run scored in the 4th, and then he struck out swinging for the second out of the 6th. Nick Anderson Vine, a New South Wales product as well. And he bounces one right side off of the glove of the second baseman. Sang coming home to score the 3rd run of the game for the Aussies is Jess Williams. It's an infield single for Nick Anderson Vine, and Australia's lead grows to 3-0. That's a way to manufacture a run with a couple of knocks right out of the gate in the 9th. Looking for some support for this brilliant effort by your starting pitcher, and a little bit of an obstructed view of the Australia bullpen from our vantage point behind home plate, but I don't believe anybody is working over there, so this could well be Kai Hampton's 9th inning. Hampton has been nothing short of spectacular for Australia today as Alex Hall comes to the plate. Throw over to first, and man, Chinese Taipei really thought Nick Anderson Vine was out over at first. Chao Ching Wan, his right-handed reliever, and his new first baseman over there, Chi-Jung Liu, who started this game at short. Thought they had the out on the pick play. There's a little flare foul third base side. Broke the bat of Alex Hall, the catcher. He'll go get a new stick from the first base dugout. Three runs, 7 hits, 1 error for Australia. No runs, 10 hits, no errors for Chinese Taipei. A team that did get 1 knock with a runner in scoring position early in this game, back in the 1st, but Han Yu-Sang was cut down trying to score from second base. That is as close as Chinese Taipei has gotten. They put runners at third base in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th innings. They haven't brought anybody in. Australia trying to build on this 3-0 lead here in the 9th. Hall 0 for 3 today, a couple of strikeouts. He fouled out down the left field line his last time up, and he waves and doesn't get a piece there. It's 1-2. Alex saw some time in the Australian Baseball League last year for the Perth Heat, a team that his Team Australia manager, Steve Fish, piloted to 2 Claxton Shield titles in the ABL. That pitch misses away. 2013 and 2014. That season, the first title for Steve Fish, and the 2014-2015 season. Perth won the first 2 titles in league history. Then Canberra took the 3rd. Perth followed it with back-to-back titles in 14 and 15, and the Brisbane Bandits have won the last 2 in the ABL. There's a swing and a miss, and down on strikes is Alex Hall, his 3rd of the day. And the 3rd of the day as well for this reliever, Juan. So, 1 gone, and now it's Jared Dale's turn. Steve Fish, I was noting earlier, a former college pitcher at the University of Nebraska. He was an academic All-Big 8 first-team selection in 1996, a Big 12 honorable mention selection as a pitcher in 97. As this ball jumps off the bat of Jared Dale out to right field, tagging at first and bluffing for second. Anderson Vine will hold. Fish was drafted in the 22nd round in 1997 by the Anaheim Angels and made it as high as Double-A Erie in the Eastern League in '99, and then spent 3 years in independent ball in the United States. Best season for Steve Fish was 1998, his first full year in pro ball with Cedar Rapids. He appeared in 30 games that year, made 14 starts, posted a 2.47 ERA, 121 strikeouts, and 127 2/3 innings. And we share an alma mater, so Steve Fish, always a guy I've pulled for. But he has done so much work at the youth and amateur and professional levels with Australian ball players over the last decade plus. As the 1-0 is there for a strike to Rixon Wingrove. Wingrove singled to right field his last time up, and then was doubled off of first on that line drive off the bat of Mitch Edwards that ended the 7th inning. Leadoff triple for Jess Williams in this inning. Nick Anderson Vine drove him home with a single that followed. 1-1. Way high and wide. 17 combined hits in this game and 3 total runs. And the story of the day for Chinese Taipei will be runners left on base as it looks right now. 9 of them through 8 innings. 2-1 on the way. That's high and wide as well. 3 balls and a strike. Rixon Wingrove, he's the guy on this roster who puts on the best show in batting practice. Everybody's got at least one of those on the club, and Wingrove is that guy for this team. Awaits the 3-1. Runners off from first, and that foul ball will fill the count. This is the 3rd full count by this reliever, Chao Ching Wan, who entered following 4 innings in the start for Ryan Gu Lin. Triple, single, strikeout, fly out in this inning for Australia. Runner at first base is Anderson Vine. Wingrove trying to keep this inning going and keep the line moving. Mitch Edwards awaits on deck. 3-2 pitch on the way. Runners off again. There's a swing and a drive, tailing away from the center fielder and racing to the alleyway. Tan Chu sees it fall. That will bring in the runner from first. Anderson Vine scores. Rixon Wingrove into second base with an RBI double, and Australia has doubled its lead here in the 9th. It's 4-0. Well, Tan Chu entered the game as a pinch runner last inning for Yushuan Lee, the first baseman, and the starting center fielder for Chinese Taipei each of the first 3 days in this tournament. unable to get to that one before it falls in the alleyway with some slicing action away from him. So Wingrove comes through with his second hit in his last 2 trips to the plate, and Australia adding the insurance it needed here in the 9th. Now 4 runs on 8 hits. The Aussies have drawn to within 2 in the hit column of Chinese Taipei. And an opportunity for more if Mitch Edwards can come through here with a man in scoring position. Wingrove will be off on any contact. Edwards facing a 1-0 count now. 6-3 ground out to end the second, a 4-3 ground out to end the 4th for Mitch, and then he lined out, stung a ball to first base in the 7th inning. That turned into a double play with Wingrove off the bag as Yushuan Lee caught it there. 1-0 into the dirt, and that's going to enable Wingrove to move up. A wild pitch from the reliever Juan. And man, this is the type of day that is going to give this Australian team a whole lot of confidence. It does not necessarily punch the ticket for Australia to the Super Round, but very likely that the Aussies will make it through this opening round, and Chinese Taipei now will find itself at 2-2 and in a must-win situation coming up tomorrow when this team takes on Nicaragua. Australia, its final matchup of the opening round, as we get a visit to the pitcher's mound from the manager of this Chinese Taipei team, Sung-Chi Chow. Australia tomorrow will take on the host nation Canada over at Port Arthur in the night game there. David Candelas and his team feeling pretty good. Candelas, a multiple-time representative for Australia at the international level. He's played in a couple of World Baseball Classics. He made it as high as AAA in the Colorado Rockies organization. And played in an independent league in Japan over the last couple of years. 2 balls and a strike after the mound visit to Mitch Edwards. The United States and South Africa coming up next. Scheduled for a 2 o'clock first pitch there. That one's fouled back into the screen. We're just past the middle of the day local time. It is 12:02 now in the afternoon here in Thunder Bay. It's chilly, it's overcast, but it's dry. That's the most important thing. Got a lot of rain last night into the early hours of the morning.
Good job.
Staying alive here, Mitch Edwards continues to battle. But thankfully, that all cleared out overnight and gave us a pretty pleasant morning to wake up to. Things have certainly cooled since the sun went away. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 gone. 2-2 on the way to Edwards. And he'll swing and not get a piece of that one. Digging it out and making the throw to first for the 2-3 putout is Wei Chi Su. And Australia retired here in the top of the 9th. But the visitors bring home 2 insurance runs. And we will head to the bottom of the 9th inning and see if the young right-hander Kai Hampton can close out the complete game shutout. He's headed back to the mound as Australia leads Chinese Taipei 4-0 in game number 20 of the 2017 WBSC U18 Baseball World Cup from Thunder Bay, Ontario. Well, it has been one heck of a day for the right-hander from South Australia, Kai Hampton, who will try to close out a complete game shutout over the 4th-ranked program in the world, Chinese Taipei. As we head to the bottom of the 9th, Australia with a 4-0 lead, adding 2 runs in the top half of the inning on an RBI single by Nick Anderson-Vine and an RBI double by Rixon Wingrove. And headed to the bottom of the 9th, another first pitch strike right in there from the righty Hampton to the leadoff man and one of the most dangerous hitters in this lineup, Chi-Jung Liu, who moved over to first base and bounces this one out to second, where it's corralled by Dermot Frisch, and he hustles it over to get it there ahead of a sprinting Liu. 1 up, 1 down on 2 pitches here in the bottom half of the 9th. That's what strike throwing does. The ability to work consistently in the zone means you can't expect opposing hitters to go up and be that patient, because if they get a good look early in an at-bat, they're going to have to go after it, knowing that you're not going to find yourself in many advantageous counts. (1-0), tomahawk foul down the left field line to put the count even at a ball and a strike. So only 2 pitches thrown in the first at bat of this inning to Chi-Jung Liu. A first pitch strike from Kai Hampton, and then the ground out to second. Breaking ball misses low and tight to Wei-Chi Su, the catcher. Su today, multiple hits. One of 3 guys in this lineup who can say that today. I mean, this has not been for lack of hits for Chinese Taipei. They've got 10, but just not when they've needed them. Chinese Taipei left 2 aboard in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, and 2 in the 8th. And here is a single through the right side. So the 3rd hit of the day for Wei-Chi Su, the catcher, as Kai Hampton has crossed over the 100 pitch threshold. He's at 102 now. No pitch counts, no pitch limits in this tournament by the rule book for any of these young arms. The managers of a bunch of these teams, got a chance to talk to them during our introductory press conference back on Thursday about how they would manage that among pitchers, and the United States staff, the Netherlands staff, expressed that they would definitely be monitoring and keeping their guys to a pretty strict pitch limit. And that's how it'll work for most of these guys on the western side. But we know that the pitchers from Japan and Korea and Chinese Taipei, they throw early, they throw often, they rarely stop throwing, as this one's fouled into the screen. Count is even at a ball and a strike. Kai Hampton over the century mark, but trying to finish this thing off here in the 9th. 11 hits he has allowed, 0 runs. And for Hampton and for this team, you feel much better about where you sit with the 2 runs in the top of the 9th, because you're kind of walking on a razor's edge coming into this inning. Anytime anybody reached, that brought the tying run to the plate for the last 8 innings coming into this one. And now there's a bit of a margin for error. The count is 2-1 on that breaking ball inside. This is Cheng-Ling Lee, the left fielder now for Chinese Taipei. He entered this game as a pinch hitter back in the 7th. He ropes that one foul past our Canadian umpire Darren Scott, who had to get out of the way down the line. Cheng-Ling Lee is listed as a catcher on the roster. We were talking about him a little while ago. Really good offensive profile, but he doesn't get much of this one and taps it back to the mound. A great job by Kai Hampton springing off the mound to make that play at first. And I admire the effort from the first base coach from Chinese Taipei, who threw his arms out in a safe call despite the fact that his runner was out by about 2 steps. So if you get a look at this in the replay, and not really. But hey, the spirit is there, and that's what counts sometimes. 1-3 goes the put out on Changling Li. And with 2 gone, a man in scoring position as Su advanced to second base on that ground out. The first pitch, what do you know, is there for a strike from Kai Hampton. He has been surgical in that regard today for Australia. Trying to finish off a complete game shutout and trying to do it against Hung Yi Wong, the leadoff hitter for Chinese Taipei. 0-1, rope to left. Coming in to play it on a dive and making a tremendous grab to finish this one is Nick Anderson Vine, and Australia finishes off a complete game shutout. What a day for Kai Hampton. My goodness, Hampton finishes off a complete game shutout, and one more look at this highlight reel catch from the left fielder Nick Anderson Vine, who tried to make one of those earlier in this game and came up empty on a leadoff single by Palin Tai on a dive in the second, and he finishes it off to back up a brilliant effort by his starter here in the 9th in this one. The Australian contingent will go home happy as the Aussies look to be pretty well on their way to the Super Round. Nothing determined as of yet, but Australia improves to 3-1 with this 4-0 win as Chinese Taipei falls to 2-2. That'll do it for our morning broadcast from here in Thunder Bay. Stick around, coming up at 2 o'clock local time. The United States will look to improve to 4-0 in opening round action as they take on the national team of South Africa. That's the final from this one. Australia 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error. No runs, 10 hits, no errors for Chinese Taipei. Kai Hampton, complete game shutout. That'll do it for this one. We'll step aside for the final time from Thunder Bay. U.S. and South Africa coming up at 2 o'clock local time. Well, what a day for Australia's starter, Kai Hampton, who finishes off a complete game shutout, the first one we have seen in this tournament. Allows 11 hits in this game, but bends and doesn't break throughout. And we'll take a look at some of the best moments from this one as the Australians move to a 4-1 victory and a 3-1 record through their 4 games in this U18 World Cup so far. Chinese Taipei coming into the day at 2-1 as well. This one a real pivotal matchup in Group A play, and Chinese Taipei finding itself on the wrong side of things early, but Australia running into outs early in this game. Nick Anderson Vine caught stealing there, a 2-4 put out that ended the first inning on a strike him out, throw him out double play. And then with the Aussies looking for some offense, it was Jake Amos to get it started. A leadoff solo homer to left. That was back in the 3rd as Australia got onto the board in the start of what would be a terrific day for Amos. Actually, he really got things started by throwing out a base runner at the plate in the 1st, but continued to contribute at the plate for Australia. That one a big moment to get the Aussies jolted into the lead 1-0 in the 3rd. Then in the 4th, Australia would add on. after getting out of the inning in the third. A strikeout of Josh Bedgood there for the starter, Ryung-Gu Lin. This was the single to left field from Jared Dale in the fourth inning. That brought home the second run of the day for Australia. Nick Anderson-Vine scores on the RBI knock from Dale. That made it a 2-0 game. And the story throughout this one, Kai Hampton, who was fantastic all day today. That one, a called strike 3 to finish off one inning as Hampton just dealt throughout and only finishes his day with 5 strikeouts. What stood out most about him is the fact that he got so many early count outs. He entered the 9th inning in under 100 pitches. He threw 28 of 37 first pitch strikes, as this one in the 9th got Australia some insurance. A leadoff triple and then an RBI single on the infield from Nick Anderson-Vine. That brought home the 3rd run of the day, and this is how things ended with Anderson-Vine coming on to make a full-on extension diving grab for the final out to polish off a complete game shutout from Kai Hampton. The young righty from South Australia does his team proud as the Aussies move to 3-1 in the group play stage here in the opening round, and will move on for their final matchup of opening round action coming up tomorrow against the host nation Canada at Port Arthur. I am Tyler Mon. Thanks for hanging out this morning from Baseball Central in Thunder Bay. Coming up in just about an hour and 45 minutes, we've got our second one of the day as the United States national team has been dominant so far, and we'll move on to face South Africa coming up this afternoon. We'll talk to you then from Thunder Bay.
But we lose the by a little bit. No runs really helps in that differential. Yeah, 0 runs against.